I'm quite nervous about this.
You feeling nervous?
A little bit, yeah.
I don't feel nervous. Let me...
I don't know what you're going to ask me.
Not do I. So you want this 6 inches from your face? Let me just get some dirty... Let's go cherry flavour.
Cherry?
Oh. I never usually accommodate guests like this, but I thought... I've never seen you without a glass of... I've never... Oh, well, yeah, we can talk about diet today as well if you want.
We were talking all of it, yeah?
Yeah.
We were just saying, because I've driven down today, and like my massive weakness with eating, particularly when I'm on long drives, and the I've driven down with, I've had half a pack of grapes and a bottle of water.
That's what you've had today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just went for a cooked breakfast there.
Huh?
We just went for like cooked breakfast.
Oh, yeah.
There. But
so you've had a fry up grapes?
I've had some sausage, beans and toast. It's alright, isn't it?
Depends.
But
Depends what you call alright.
I know, yeah. That's,
Anyway,
that's what we were talking about.
Cheers, dude. Try not to spill
Thank you
any
very much.
Pepsi Max on the old equipment. I don't fancy covering the costs. So, man, I'm excited to chat. Like I say, I don't have a super plan, but I usually end the podcast with this question. And I thought last night I'm going to ask Mike this from the start, because I know you well, and I think you'll give a good answer to this. So, traditional better man question here. What does Mike Lewis need to work on in order to become a better man? We'll go straight into the deep stuff.
Yeah,
mate.
it's just
I
deep,
know.
isn't it? Me personally, doing things when I don't feel like them. Probably not being ruled by... Not that I feel ruined... I don't feel ruled by emotion, because I'm a fairly placid, calm kind of person. But doing the things I need to do when I don't want to do them. Does that make sense?
Sure.
We were just talking earlier on about specifically about jiu-jitsu. And I was saying most people know me like, I'm like, oh, well, I love jiu-jitsu. I've trained for 10 years on and off. But if you asked any of the coaches that I've trained with and asked them, oh, who in your club loves jiu-jitsu? I don't think any of them would say me, because I'm there one week, I'm not there the next. And the people who get... So after 10 years of training, I'm still a blue belt. Because the people who get really good are the ones who go when they don't feel like it. When you get in from work and you're tired, and you think, I can't be asked today, I'm going to go anyway. And I think that is probably my biggest weakness, personally, is if I don't feel like doing something, if I'm tired, if I'm had a bad day, if I'm in a mood, I know I don't do the things that make me feel better.
Yeah, when this is brought up, I always think there's always some areas in your life, right, like that you display those qualities. So there'll be areas in your life where you do regardless of how you feel.
Yeah.
So like the skill, the quality's there, isn't it? Like the capacity to do it's there.
Regardless of how, no matter what day I've had, if I go pick up my kids from school, they're getting met with a smile, a kiss, and a hug.
Yeah.
Regardless, and I'll be enthusiastic and I'll be asking about the day. But yeah, because that benefits them, right?
And you.
Yeah.
Sure. Clearly, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's hard to be miserable around kids, I think, or around my kids, because they're hilarious. But I think it's hard for me to be miserable around them. But yeah, not that I'm a particularly miserable person, but I think with certain things, every morning I wake up and think I should have a glass of water, and I go to the fridge and get a Pepsi Max. Mental, innit? Like I know a glass of water will make me feel better. And yeah, still the first thing I do is go get a can of Pepsi Max.
See, I would have... So we've been trained in this school of thought, like, you know, if you don't value something enough, then you won't do it. So, and I kind of bought into that for a bit. I think some of that's bullshit now, because I had a training from Chris about emotional eating. Yeah. And Chris said something that just kind of lit a bulb in my head. He said, like, if you wait for your emotions and everything to fall into a place, like if you wait to fix your emotions before you fix your eating, like you're gonna be waiting forever.
Yeah.
He said you don't need to sort stuff out. You just need to do the thing that you know you need to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know that's a real simple definition of it.
Yeah.
But that's a good example.
Yeah.
Like you could literally just start drinking water in the morning, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I did this morning. So it's interesting having little things that spur you on. So I knew we were driving. We were probably 7 hours in the car today, like here and back. And Pete Shaw messaged me this morning. How are you going to handle today? Ooh. I'll tell you what, instead of stopping at the service station, I'll go to Asda first and I got a bottle of water. And I can only drink Coke out of a can or a glass. I'd never buy a bottle of Pepsi Max. I don't know what it is. I like the feel of a cold can. And there was no cans of Pepsi Max in Asda, so I bought a bottle of water.
Okay.
I bought a bottle of water and some grapes. And then I came down, and normally a car journey for me is a big bag of Maltesers, 4 cans of Pepsi Max, and a big bag of wine gums. And that's, if I go on any journey more than 2 hours, that's what I'm eating in the car, every time. There I'm back.
You see that question though that Pete asked you this morning, like, how are you going to handle today?
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't it be a good idea if we all started our day with that question? Like,
yeah.
Because you can coach yourself to that answer, can't you?
Yeah, of course you can, yeah.
It's just Pete's put a little prompt in front of you.
Yeah.
Which, like, you can get that prompt anytime you want, though. You can access that prompt anytime, right?
Yeah.
It's just like business, like, how am I going to handle business today?
Yeah. And that's the thing, I think so much of life is just about that. I think that's something I struggle with, is sedation. That whole thing of sitting looking at my phone, sitting knowing what I need to do but fucking it off, because I don't know what it is, but I also know that whenever I feel like I'm on a mission and whenever I feel like I'm on a purpose, then actually doing the stuff is easy.
Yeah. Well, I think you've just nailed it there. It's like when I'm distracting or sedating, I know that I haven't filled my day with purposeful things to do.
Yeah.
Because I've tried all the tactics, like, well, you know me, I'm so into like focus and discipline. And I've tried everything to kill distractions.
Yeah.
But the easiest way, like, you don't need tactics. You just need to find something that is better than distractions.
Yeah.
It's hard to do, by the way.
That's the thing, and that's why. See, I don't mind a bit of sedation.
Yeah, sure.
Like, I got into the whole thing of trying to, I'm going to monitor my screen time. So I thought, you know what? I like looking at my phone. I like looking at my phone. Like, and then like, we spent 6 hours today looking at your phone. I was like, well, yeah, but if I spent 6 hours reading a magazine, no one would care. If I spent 6 hours watching telly, no one would care. If I spent 6 hours, but everyone's like on this mission. I'm going to limit my screen time. And I genuinely these days don't care about what I care about. What I do care about. It was my daughter's 5th birthday the other day, and I said to her, "This killed me." This I said to her, "So what makes you most happy today?" And she went, "Dinosaurs." I was like, "Class." I was like, "What would make you more sad?" She went, "If I try and talk to you and you ignore me." And I thought, "Oh God!" And I was like, "That'll make me put down my phone."
Yeah, sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if she's not there when her mum's putting her to bed at 8 o'clock at night, if I want to sit and look at my phone for half an hour, I'll do that. But I'm not on a mission to try and get my screen time down to 3 hours for a purpose. Because actually, sometimes I get my screen time down, what am I going to do?
Well, that's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
What am I going to do? I know I'm not doing the right thing if I'm on my phone all day.
Yeah.
Because life's so fucking short. Like, I get to the end of the day, I'm like, is that how I really chose to spend it?
Yeah.
Have you not experienced days that are much better than that?
Yeah.
Like, do you not want to replicate them? Like, I do. I'm like, what a waste of a fucking day. And sometimes I know, I can feel it inside me when I'm scrolling. I'm like, this just isn't good. This just isn't. This is just passing time. This is just edging closer to the end and just, fuck it.
Yeah. I definitely get that feeling some days.
Yeah.
But I find a lot of my time, especially having the kids, makes it so much different. Because all of that time does feel like it's on purpose. I think I feel like I'm quite a mindful dad. I'm quite involved. So yeah, there is days they're talking to me and I'm like, I'm doing something. But I feel like having that part of my life, sometimes I need a distraction. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if I'm at work from 9 till 6 o'clock and then I get in from work and I spend 2 hours just playing with the kids and the kids go to bed, I want to sit on my phone for half an hour and I want to play Candy Crush. So, or whatever it is, not Candy Crush, but whatever game I'm playing at that minute. Because actually, I need a time of not doing anything. Sure. And it's like, you look at your phone, I could read a self-development book. I was like, right now, I don't want to think about anything. Yeah. I just want to sit and do nothing and stare at something, you know.
And I get that. Do you never think of things like blueprints? So I take some areas in my life, like I always revert to the physical world because I feel like I've not mastered it, but I'm really good at it. You know, I've got myself in shape. Yeah. I've stayed there for years. I always train. I train hard. And I take that and I can see the lessons in it. I can see the structure. I can see the discipline behind it. Yeah. I can see the rewards that I get from doing the things I don't want to do. And I'm like, well, there's the fucking blueprint for me. If I can transfer that into sending the emails every day for business, I'll get the same results. Do you not have that thing with your kids, like where you transfer it and go, I love my kids so much that it makes me want to put my phone down. Could I find something outside of my kids that's in my mission and purpose that makes me put my phone down?
Yeah, definitely. But I also just feel that there's just days where I like to be quite, but I feel like I'm quite a balanced person. And sometimes I get outbalanced the other way, and I go too far into sedation, and you know, I'm definitely guilty of that. But yeah, I don't know. What I don't want to do is put some arbitrary target on things.
Sure. Yeah.
Yes, I know now when my kids are here, when all my kids are there, my phone is somewhere else. But in the same sense, if me and Elisa, me and my wife are watching a film, I'll plug my phone in charge on a different side of the room because I want my focus to be there. If I'm in a restaurant with them, I'm not looking at my phone, you know. But equally, there's a time to tell your kids, leave me alone.
Yeah, sure.
It's just because they're blooming nightmares.
Yeah, full-time kids, right?
And you know, my kids are amazing. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just, what I don't do is play into that everything needs to be this. That if you got a high screen time, well, that means you're not attentive. Actually, you know what? For that day, it meant I needed a day off. I needed a day of not doing anything.
Yeah.
Ultimately, some days at work, I'm there till 6 o'clock and I'm working my bollocks off, and I haven't got time to do anything. Other days I'm at work and, you know what, my days are quite free and I can choose what I want to do that day. You know.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it determines like worthiness or quality of an individual. That's for sure. What do you think about goals now? Because my opinion's like changed of them quite radically over the last year.
Yeah, I think habits are way better than goals. I like what Paul said something to me recently, Paul Mort, about goals are a marker of where your progress is.
Yeah.
They're not something to achieve for. They're not. I can't remember what you said. It's not. If you spend your time striving after a goal, then actually once you hit the goal, then what a goal should be is a marker of what your habits are adding up to. I think he said that. Unless you said that. Someone said that.
Somewhat similar, yeah.
That idea of if I had a goal to run a Tough Mudder and I was going to get in shape, run the Tough Mudder, and then go right back out of shape again, or my habit's going to be to get in shape, and as a sign of how in shape I am, I can do a Tough Mudder. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
So I like the idea of markers of progress, of kind of where I am.
Where I think that goes wrong for a lot of guys is their expectation is faulty. So let's just say we set you some new habits today, right? And you left, you'd probably already have a indication of where you think that habit should take you in 90 days.
Yeah.
And I always question where that information comes from sometimes. So I've done this so many times, I'm like, if I send an email every day, I'm bound to get 10 clients sign up.
Yeah.
So well, hold on, no you're not. So that's not always the right marker for whether you've been successful. The success for me is like, have you done the habit every day and have you tried to get better at it?
My marker for me, how I judge everything, is really shallow. Is it shallow? How happy am I? That is literally what I base.
That's a dangerous game, man. Like, how happy am I when I'm drinking a couple of beers on a Friday night? Do you know what? I'm really fucking happy. I'm serious. I don't think I'm ever happier than when I'm under the influence of alcohol.
That's mad. See, that to me is crazy. Because you lead this like proper disciplined, Goggins-esque life, whatever it is you do. But so I barely drink. I drink about 3 or 4 times a year.
Yeah.
I like having a drink. With the right people at the right time, and again, the difference having kids, right? You can't be hungover with kids.
Of course, yeah.
And that's. But yeah, I know how much you like a drink. You're like, oh, I like the party, and I like it.
Yeah.
How do you maintain?
It's right, by the way.
How do you maintain? But I guess I think maybe happiness is wrong. I think about contentment, and somebody think contentment is wrong. You should always be striving for more. I think contentment is the secret to everything.
Yeah, I think it's confusing. I think it's hard to know whether you're content though versus resigned. Some people are resigned and they say they're content, and I'm like, are you really content?
Yeah.
And you might be content now, but when you look back in 10 years, will you still have the same level of contentment?
Yeah.
So when you're on your deathbed, or if doctor tells you got cancer, are you content then, or do you wish you'd have gone after what you really wanted to go? This is how I think about it.
Yeah.
But that, by the way, that happiness of drinking doesn't get me what I want. So it doesn't make me happy. I'm saying that if I just focus on happiness now, I mean, we'd have a beer right now.
Yeah.
I could drink all day. It would make me happy whilst I'm swigging a beer, but there's a big downfall to play. And also there's they're sacrificing everything. So whilst I'm drinking, I'm sacrificing something else.
Yeah.
And then when I'm doing something else, I'm sacrificing drinking. So it's like you have to pick your sacrifices, don't you?
Yeah. I try and think now more about what type of person am I versus what I'm achieving. So what I mean is,
Sure, man.
when I've set goals in the past, once it's worked, right? I hit 93 kilos about 8 years ago. Now I'm like 103 kilos, right? And I hit 93 kilos 8 years ago, and I was like, fucking hell, like, I've gone up to a 34 waist in my jeans, and I was fuming at myself, and I was like, I need to lose weight. And I signed up to compete jiu-jitsu at the British Open at 82 kilos, wearing a gi, so that's like 80 kilos.
Yeah.
So I had 10 weeks to lose 12 kilos.
Yeah, I mean, that was a ridiculous goal.
Yeah,
but...
I smashed it though.
Yeah.
I absolutely hammered it. I trained 4 or 5 times a week.
Okay.
I did 20,000. I just walked to work. I absolutely hammered it. And I got battered at the competition, but I set that as my goal, and it's the only time really I've gone after it and hit it.
Yeah.
Since then, I've got in the same position. I thought, well, I'll just sign up for a competition in 3 months' time, and then something happens. I get injured or I miss a session, and actually, when I start to feel I'm not going to hit that goal, I go the other way. Oh, fuck it.
Yeah.
And then I end up signing up for competition, paying for a competition, not doing the training, not doing the work. Then think, oh, I'll fit it all into 6 weeks. I'll start fasting 3 days a week or whatever. And then you start chasing it, and then it's like, oh God, can't be arsed. And then I'll have 6 months off training and just get fatter. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So whenever I've set those goals quite often, other than that one time, it hasn't worked for me. If I set a goal of I want to be a person who trains jiu-jitsu twice a week, if that's my goal, so now in my, when we have our planners and we set our mine doesn't really have an outcome. It is regular BJJ. It is whatever it is. It is happy in my marriage.
Yeah.
My family goal is literally happy in my marriage, and I know every day if I'm happy or not. I know every day if I'm in a good place in that or not. But when I was setting relationship goals, or in the next 12 weeks, me and Elisa will have 12 date nights. It just never, things just happen. And then once you get behind on it, because the kids will for 2 weeks, now we need 2 date nights a week, and we're not going to do that. Oh, I'm not going to hit that 12 date nights. Oh, fuck it. Do you know what I mean? Whereas now I'm like, am I happy in my relationship? Am I happy with myself as a dad? I know if I'm happy with the levels of effort I'm putting in at work. And I have times where I look back at my day and go, you've done nothing today. And other times I come back and go, I've worked hard today. But so I score myself on like, I don't even say that, I don't even score myself, but I know internally, am I working hard? Am I being good to my wife? Am I being good to my kids? Am I training? If that internal compass, whatever, goes off, then I know I need to fix it. But that's how I set my goals now. Am I happy with this? Am I a good boss? Am I a good dad? As long as every day I wake up and think, I'm all right.
Yeah. Oh, there's something to
Then
that.
I'm sound.
Yeah, there's 100% something to that. And my goals have taken a similar direction. It's all about the quality of person that I believe I'm being or becoming.
Yeah.
Would you sacrifice happiness then for like a greater mission or a greater purpose? So if you had to lose some of that internal comfort.
I think you find contentment in your purpose. That's the thing. So, my background, I was raised in like a Christian family, and there's a verse in the Bible, and Paul says, I found the secret to happiness, and it says it's to being content in all things. He says, I've been in jail and I was content. I've been free, I was content. I've been rich, I was content. I've been poor, I was content. And then he kind of says, in Christ I can do all things. Yeah. And it's basically that thing of, listen, no matter what you do to me, no matter where I am, I've lived in like, my old house was a shithole, and now we live in a nice house. But I feel like, you know what? My family could go back to that house and we'd be all right. Because I've been there. And those kind of things don't have an impact on me. I like nice things. But I think when I started striving for... I was really emotional when in my 20s. I was really up and down. I had an awful temper. I used to get anxious when I'm by myself. I couldn't cope in the house by myself, ever. So I'd go on nights. I'd pay for other people to go on nights out just so I had someone to go drinking with and things like that. And I always aimed to be somewhere in the middle. And I think I found in my 30s, I've kind of hit that. I think something about being in your 30s where you find out who you are. Do you know what I mean?
Which can be a good or bad thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Depending on what you like.
Yeah,
whether
definitely.
you like what you find, yeah.
Yeah, but, you know, I think my wife likes me, and my kids like me, my parents think I'm alright, and my closest friends all like me. Then nothing else really affects me too much. Like, I don't care what people think, say or think. Like, it just doesn't really bother me, so long as I know the core people, and I feel kind of, I'm content with who I am.
Well, isn't that the key? Isn't that the core one? Like, because you're okay with who you are, everyone accepts you for that, and they love you for it, right?
Now, there's external factors, right? So I'm content with what type of person I am.
Now, yeah.
Yeah.
But that wasn't always the case, right?
No.
So surely that strive and that discontentment has allowed you to be content.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. I don't know, because I think it's like an internal... Like, so I'm not content with how I look at the minute. You know,
Right, okay.
I'm out of shape.
Yeah.
I'm not content with some of the things I do. I'm not content with...
So what's the barrier there then? Because there'll be so many guys listening to this similar, right?
Yeah, there's who I am and there's what I do. And there's things that I do that I know I shouldn't do. And there's things that I should do that I don't. Do you know what I mean? There's a way I'd like to be fitter. I'd like to train more. I'd like to eat better. But that's what I do. But who I am I kind? Am I compassionate? Am I friendly? Do you know what I mean? Those type of things. So what I do, I'm able to see it all as extra. I don't think who I am. I don't think what I do is who I am as a person. Does that make sense?
No, it does.
I might be like, I've been a bit lazy today, but I don't think I'm a lazy person.
Yeah.
You know, I might think I can be short with the kids, but that doesn't affect my opinion of myself as a good dad. It just means at that moment,
of course,
I did that. So I'm constantly trying. I feel like I'm trying to get better at those things, but it doesn't change who I am. I'm a good son. I'm a good dad. I'm a good husband. Those are the things that matter to me.
Yeah, and I admire you.
That's kind of how I think.
Yeah, and I respect you for that. Definitely, that's way more important. I agree.
Yeah.
That we could go into other routes of like why it's important for you to get your health sorted, and for the kids, and for your family.
Yeah.
But that clearly hasn't worked for you, right? So, like you say, you've already mentioned a few things today that are the blueprint, like the kind of person you want to be.
Yeah.
Habit-based goals.
Yeah.
Like, what's the challenge then, and the obstacle in implementing them into health and fitness for you?
I need momentum. I always need momentum, and I find that once momentum changes, once the momentum stops, that's where I really struggle. So right now, I've been working the past 2 weeks on trying to, and 2 weeks ago I was 106 kilos, then I was 105.3, last week I was 104.5, today I'm 100. Yesterday I was 103.9, today I'm 103.6, and I feel like I got momentum. So I'm able then to, on the drive down, go, I'm not going to eat this shit. I'm not going to do this. My problem is when I have a fuck it moment, when I have we'll get a Chinese. But actually, the other day I had one, and I had a really bad day actually. The day I did 4,000 calories, but I was able to spot it in the next day. I did 20,000 steps. I did 1,800 calories, and now I feel like I'm back on track.
Yeah.
If I don't get back on track quickly, it's when a day turns into 2, turns into a weekend, that can turn into 6 months.
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem. That's kind of my issue. Yeah,
it can stop quite quickly, and it can go the other way. So momentum's always happening.
Yeah,
it's just in which direction, I guess.
Absolutely, and that's my biggest struggle.
Yeah.
But 38. It's time yet.
There is time, yeah. And the thing is, you've got all the skills to change it.
Yeah.
Haven't you? Like you're a smart guy, real smart guy. So you know what to do. But there's clearly something there, right, that needs addressing. Chris Tibbetts is a great guy to speak to on this.
Yeah.
He delivered a training to us the other night. Fuck me, it was brilliant.
I need to speak to Chris, but I think because that is my thing. If I'm sad, I eat.
Yeah.
If I'm angry, I eat. If I'm happy, I eat. Do you know what I mean?
But that's that emotional game.
When you get out of those things, yeah, absolutely.
Well, but this is what I was saying. Chris was saying, like, if you wait to you improve your...
Yeah.
So basically, is good nutrition going to help you fend off these emotions that you don't want to relate to, or is it going to hinder you? Well, it's going to help you, right? It's going to give you the energy not to give in on tough days.
Yeah,
Makes total sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
He always says, if you've got 6 problems and you binge eat, now you've got 7. I love that.
Yeah.
I thought it was so clear and direct. I kind of thought he was going to say, it's all about getting a handle on your emotions, and he was like, no, get a handle on your fucking food. Yeah. Then you can start to get a handle on some of your emotions. I thought, that's fresh.
Which I think that, we say it all the time, action is always the answer. Like, it just is. Ultimately, you'll be dictated by what you do, I think, Well, your results will be dictated by it. I can say all along, oh, I'm dead kind, but if I eat 5,000 calories a day, I'm dead kind and dead fat. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
and it's like
ultimately who you are is.
Is it being kind to yourself? Like,
yeah,
potentially. This is why I want to come and live with you, man. We'd have such a blast.
Yeah,
yeah.
So we can do it. October.
Out of all this self-development game, right? I still don't know what works, but I'm starting to figure out what doesn't work. What doesn't work is trying to do everything on your own. That's for sure.
Yeah,
that's for sure. Like, I know, like, if you put yourself in an environment of healthy eaters, hard trainers, you would become one.
Yeah,
100%, and you would fucking love it.
Yeah,
and you know it. I can tell.
Yeah,
you did BJJ camp every day, and your food.
No, that's the thing. It's a really interesting thing, and I think this is the thing that people have in general. Is, and again, this is Taylor's all this time, right? Right back from, it's that thing of you know what you need to do, but you do something else.
Yeah.
And you know what you shouldn't do, and you end up doing it anyway. And it's that human sort of history have had that thing. Do you know what I mean? Of I don't know what it is inside me, but I think it's inside everyone. You're just lured towards these things, you know.
Well, temptations.
Yeah.
For sure, man. Yeah, we've all got them.
Yeah.
We've all got them.
And it is finding a way to replace those things. So what I found when I have been in shape, so when we were working together, we got down to 92 kilos from 105 at the start.
Yeah, we did well, right?
And I'd never felt so good.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to Lisa, I said, I can't imagine ever going back. I can't imagine what type of person I was that would sit and gorge myself until I felt stuffed to the point where I then couldn't sleep because I just felt so stuffed. What was I doing then? And then 6 months later,
you're back there, right?
You're back there, and you think, but how? Because I know it doesn't make me feel good.
No,
I know it doesn't make me feel good.
But you pulled the plug on momentum, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
The thing with physical health is like you're wearing some of your issues right on your skin, and like you can see it. Like everyone will have their own shit; it's just not so visible. So if I've got some emotional shit that I'm dealing with, like you might not see it. And I think it is easy to kind of point the finger at people that can't get hold of their food and go, they can't control their food. But there's things in life all of us need to get a fucking handle on, right?
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who's not battling something.
It's the same in anything, you know. I know if I post every day on LinkedIn, I know I will bring in 2 customers that month. I haven't posted for the past 2 weeks. And at a point where in our business now, we're going, right, we grew at quite a rate. Now our expenses are, like, our salary bill's £500,000 a year, which is ridiculous, terrifying to think, right?
Just got a little go.
Which, like, those types of, I'd never thought about that before. There's never been a more important time for me to start posting on LinkedIn and trying to generate business. And yet, because I know, fucking hell, I feel under pressure here when I'm going to work and I'm going to sit and go, what do I do? You know, and I know the answer. I need to start writing some content. I need to start calling some people. But yet, there's some kind of blockage that is...
Is this a like want versus need to thing? So like, do you feel like if you wanted to post, you would, but because you need to, you're like...
I feel like when
I'm a bit of a rebellious kind of like...
When I need to, I don't want to.
Yeah, like authority type of... Yeah, you have to post now, I'm like, oh...
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I get like this in business as well.
This is the thing is with... me and my wife having this conversation the other day. I was like, right, if I'm going to lose weight, I need us to plan our food. I want us to write down, this is what we're going to have. So I know on Monday I'm having this. Because depending on what I'm eating on Monday will dictate what I can have for lunch, because I'll know how it fits in my calories. And she's like, what if I don't fancy it though? She's like, she doesn't want to commit to what we're having on Monday night, because if she changes her mind, then she'll feel like she's gone back on a commitment. So instead she'll go, I'll see what I fancy on Monday. I'm like, I need to know. Do you know what I mean?
And that's the whole point.
Yeah,
you can't change your mind.
But once you, let's say, your 3 things for the day, your commit. Once it's written down, I think, oh, what if I don't want to? So I won't even write it down. But then you end up doing nothing. Do you know what I mean? It's an internal battle I have a lot. I know when I do certain things, when I fill in my planner, when I schedule my day, when I eat in a certain way, I feel good, I act good, and I get good results. Yeah. But sometimes them Maltesers are calling.
Sure. But those, no, I get it. But that's the whole point of these plans, that you don't have to decide on the day.
Yeah.
So decision fatigue, I think, is real.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like, especially at the end of the day when you're tired, because you probably made certain decisions in your business, right, that need your on-the-spot attention. Like, if I had to think every meal, what am I going to have today, I guarantee I wouldn't make the good choices that I do if I'm having a plan.
Yeah.
So I take those things away. You hear about a lot of successful people, even with their clothing. Like, they just wear
Mark Zuckerberg's got...
Same shit.
Got, every day.
Same, because he doesn't want to have to get up and decide what I'm going to wear today.
No, but he looks like a nerd though, doesn't he?
Mate, he's fucking minted though, would you mind that?
I don't know.
I wouldn't want to be like Mark Zuckerberg though. I'm not interested in being minted either anymore. No, if it comes to me, I'll take it. Yeah, of course. But I'm not you sometimes when I've got that whole I have to do these things. But again, on like a bit of a paradox, I think as men we need responsibilities. Yeah. Because you imagine if you didn't have like kids and a missus and no responsibilities. It's hard because like you can get away with shit.
I would be so. Elisa went away for a week. with the kids.
I think when the guy said this, their missus goes away for a week and they're like eating toast and shit, and that's it.
She took the kids away for about 4 days, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to the gym in the day. I'm going to cook my meals on the night. I'm going to literally within about 6 hours. The kitchen's turned upside down. There's Chinese and KFCs everywhere, and I look around, and go, God, what would I do with that? I don't know what I'd do.
It's a bit like a boy, isn't it? I still like have those boy tendencies, like takeaways and bottles of beer, like student, like and it's like I'm actually 37.
Yeah, I'm like that glass there. At least was shouting at me and telling me to pick it up. No, I'm going to go to bed tonight without putting it in the kitchen.
Dude,
do you know what I mean? Like,
one of the best things about being single and living on your own, like you can drink out the same glass all the time, the same cup, the same plate. It's easy. You don't really do washing up. You just live off the same plate, or even better, paper cups. Not for the environment, obviously. That's
not as much sex though.
Wow.
I don't know actually. Handsome man like you.
No, you're right. Obviously, yeah. Work takes over other things. Yeah, pros and cons to both. Yeah. How did you get past the emotions that you were suffering with in your 20s then? So the anger that you were experiencing, like how did it show up? How was it negatively impacting your life? And then how did you move on from that?
They're good questions. So I had a pretty good upbringing, like really good upbringing. You know, weren't rich or anything, but both parents worked. We had never wanted for anything. Got to go on holiday every year. Loving family. Really close still to mum and dad. And then a family member kind of had some issues, in with a bad crowd and all that. And when I was 16, my parents moved to Peterborough to kind of get people away from the crowd they were in. And I decided to stay. So I'm kind of 16, 17. I was living by myself, really. Well, not by myself. I had friends. I was sharing a house with two lads. Yeah, as kind of 17-year-olds, which was cool. And I also haven't got, like, my mum feels so guilty. If ever I want anything, I say, remember when you abandoned me when I was 16? So she gets really upset about it. But I never felt the ban. I thought that was the making of me. Like, I really did. But I clearly had some issues with whatever family stuff had gone on with. I couldn't cope. I couldn't cope by myself. I just couldn't. If I was in a house alone, I'd be climbing the walls. I'd be ringing anyone I could. Come over, let's go out. Let's do whatever. Luckily, so I was quite involved in church back then. So like I was raised in a Christian family. I kind of went away when I was about 14 and teenage rebellion and all that. And then when I was about 17, I kind of refound it. After my parents moved, I went back to my old church and kind of fell in love with it again, really. And what I've always had good people around me. So I think now I actively kind of seek out mentorship, and I think a lot of that comes from that. Yeah. I remember one of the leaders at the church, Steve, saw me one time when I was 16. He was like, "Oh, so who looks after you?" And I was like, "Look after myself. What are you talking about?" And he just kind of made me a part of his family. I spent Christmas with him. I spent, we were just, and all this. I don't want to sound like I wasn't part of my family. Like, my family is amazing, but you needed someone to. I drank over house for tea. Do you know what I mean? Those types of things. When I moved into my first house, I had no credit history. He paid my first 6 months rent up front. things like that. That had a proper impact on me. That like really.
Yeah.
So just recently, a young lad who works for us, he was moving in a flat, and I was like, and he had no credit history, so I was able to pay his rent up front and just kind of pay it back a little bit. But despite all that, there's still these moments going, oh, I'm by myself. So even though I had it, I remember spending Christmas with him. And I remember walking home after Christmas dinner. It was like 4 p.m. and just getting back to an empty house because my two housemates were with their families, and sitting in the house and going, fucking hell, is this it? And like, yeah, I just...
How old were you then when that...
18? 18, 19.
That's pretty harsh for an 18-year-old to be going back to...
Yeah, it was awful, yeah.
His own place on Christmas Day. Yeah, my best friend often spends Christmas Day on his own. And yeah, my heart aches for him. Yeah. I mean, he's got kids, but they're with their mum for that time.
Yeah. Well, then I got a girlfriend. I was with her for a few years, and I started, spent a lot of time with her family. Then when we broke up, and I was about 21, then I just kind of went off the rails in quite a big way, really.
What
for
way?
A few years. Quite a big way.
Like?
I was just out a lot of drinking, some other stuff.
Yeah.
But I'd gotten in by that point. I had a really good job. So I was 21 years old, on 40 grand a year, without any debt, without any outgoings. I just had money, and there was just that. I was in a sales job, and all the salespeople. Sales attracts a certain type of person, and it's all just champagne and other stuff.
Yeah. So again, it's that crowd.
Just that crowd. And I think after breaking up, I was with this girl for like 3.5 years, and at the time I was like a youth leader at the church.
Yeah. And
I was like seen as like an up and comer. I preached on a Sunday and stuff like that. And then when me and this girl broke up, like so much of my identity, I think, was in that. Was in my position as youth leader, part of this young couple, and then when that went, I don't think I knew who I was, and I just kind of spiraled a bit. Now I spiraled. I had a great time, but it affected me. It definitely took me.
So what were the negative impacts then? If it was a young single guy having some fun doing what young guys do, like what was the big issue? Like where did it hurt?
I mean, I racked up about £30,000 of debt.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I started to lose friends.
Yeah.
I wasn't very nice on a night out.
Yeah.
I was quite aggy. Just,
boy stuff.
Yeah. And I'd start going out with mates, and they were like, they stopped wanting me to go out.
Right, okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was... Then I met my wife. And then actually through her, me and her, and then I kind of started going back to church again. So me and her were getting wrecked on a night in my house. And I was talking to her, and I was saying, I was off my face, and I was saying, this isn't who I am. This isn't who I am. I believe in Jesus. And I was saying all this. I was like preaching to her when I was literally crouched over a coffee table, and then she ended up going to church, and like she didn't come from that background, and she ended up going and doing like this thing called the Alpha course, and I was like, well, if I best sort myself out.
Yeah.
And then we did. Then about a year later, we got married.
Wow.
And a few years after that, we had kids.
Quick transformation.
Well, no, but even then, the transformation really came in with kids, really.
Right, okay.
Because even between getting married and that, there was about 3 years before we had our first daughter. I'd like a foot in both worlds. I was still hankering after that, but knowing I should do this. Yeah. Yeah. So it was quite an interesting time. Yeah. But then I think actually I just found a place of. I don't know what it was. I think it was kids, of just being, at least you have screaming matches at each other. I don't think I've raised my voice, and I might shout at my kids every now and then, but like these days I'm just not. It's not what we do.
No, man. I don't have kids, but I just know they would make me a better person.
Yeah, they do.
Kinder, more patient.
They do.
More fun. It's fun. Us guys struggle. And dealing with heartache when you're at that age, like, if you're with that girl for 3.5 years, dealing with heartache for probably for men at any age is quite a tough thing.
Yeah. I think when so much, especially because my family was away.
Yeah.
So much, especially in that relationship, so much of it was just tied up in all these other things. For me, back then, it was all about identity. It was all about, my identity was all in the church and in that relationship and in that. And when you go to church or something like that, you're in that world.
Do you believe in God then?
Of course,
is it, well, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not a course. I mean, there's a lot of people that go to church that probably don't believe in God, right?
No, it's not about God, Jesus, full shebang.
Yeah,
like it all.
Because I understand the community aspects. I've been reading a really difficult book, The God Delusion, by Richard Dawkins. I've only got 100 pages. I don't think I can do any more.
No.
And again, I don't know whether it's because I believe what he's saying, or whether it's just a bit of a rant. The book. But the truth is, I just don't know. I'm like, well, no one knows.
I've kind of narrowed it all down quite a bit in terms of like what I believe in regards to Christianity. And yeah, listen, I believe in God. I believe there's something there. Don't really care what you call it. If I want to live my life, if I read the Bible and I read what Jesus talks about, I can't think of a better way to live than the stuff he says. Do you know what I mean? So if you live a life purely treating others how you want to be treated, loving your enemy, forgiving people, not holding on to bitterness and anger, and trying to live your life for something bigger than yourself, and trying to live your life in the service of others, and live your life compassionate and kind, then for me, if I'm going to do that, that makes me a follower of Jesus. So that makes me a Christian. Do you know what I mean? So regardless, I mean, listen, and I believe that Jesus died and rose again, and I believe all that stuff as well. But even if I didn't, if I had to narrow it all down to how do I want to live my life, I couldn't think of a better way to center my life around than the teachings of Jesus.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that absolutely. So that's where I'm on the fence. I'm not sure if everything did happen, but like for me, it's almost like an old self-help book. Like this is the way that you could conduct yourself to live a better life, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's when I think you attach like extreme ideologies to it and extreme views.
But all that stuff, this is the thing, I didn't really get onto this, but all that stuff you don't find in Jesus. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All the baggage that's tied up with the church and all the baggage that's tied up with, God hates gays and all, you just don't find it anywhere.
Yeah.
But
I think that's the argument in Richard Dawkins' book. I think he was saying in the Bible, like in the Old Testament, there is like homophobia.
Oh, there's loads, yeah. There's absolutely loads. But for me, it's like, if I read the Old Testament, it's like, this is who they thought God was.
Yeah.
And then literally Jesus comes along and goes, mate, you got it wrong. Do you know what I mean? In the Old Testament, it says an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, right? And Jesus then comes along and says, you've heard it said, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. I tell you, turn the other cheek. So, well, they can't both be true. And God didn't change his mind. One day say that, and then if I believe in Jesus, I believe the teachings of Jesus were always the teachings of God. I don't believe God one day went, I'm going to be nice now. I believe they thought it was like this, but actually it was like this, Because if you look at that as an example, back in those days, you could have, well, I steal your goat and you murder me in retribution. And then people get a sense of, well, I think God's fairer than that. I think actually there's a better way to do this, and actually the way of God would be more fair. So actually it'd be an eye and eye. If you murder me, you can get murdered. Do you know what I mean? But they're trying to figure out who God is and what he's like. And then Jesus comes along and goes, well, this is what God's like. I'm telling you this is how it is. And I'm like, sweet, let's do that.
What I don't understand about my own personal relationship with religion is I don't go to church. I don't really sit there and pray.
Yeah.
But in my times of like dire fucking need, I will always revert to faith. Yeah. Because I don't have anything else. Yeah. Which is strange because, like I say, it doesn't feel like a choice. It's a calling. Yeah. And I've had some pretty crazy dreams about Jesus Christ lately. It's insane. That have got me just wondering or thinking or pondering. Yeah. Not making a commitment to, because I don't think I'll ever get to a stage where I'm 100% believe this. Yeah. But I do believe there's. I
could give you some cool books.
Yeah, I'm sure. What I'm open to is exploring, and I think curiosity is a real good skill to have. I think it's too easy to shut off all different paths because science doesn't back things up.
I think the problem is when things become absolute. So my faith has changed massively over the course of the last 5 years. it's changed massively. You know, what was it? 8 years ago, me and Elisa lost our son. You know, we had a baby boy who was stillborn, who, you know, she was pregnant, 40 weeks, booked in for cesarean. One day there's a heartbeat, like, right, you're coming in tomorrow for cesarean. You go in, and then there's no heartbeat. And you're like, right. I've never begged and pleaded and prayed more in my life. But ultimately, nothing happened, you know? He's gone. And I say that as a person who believes that God heals, who I've seen people get prayed for and seen miracle. I've seen it, so I know it happens. Didn't happen for us, you know? And then on ours, we had, obviously that was a hard time. But then I remember going back to church a few weeks later, and we walked in and someone was on the stage saying I sprained my ankle. And I had a football match the next day and I got prayed for and my ankle was fine. And I turned around and walked back out. I don't believe his story isn't true, because I know the guy, he's not a liar. He sprained his ankle, he got a thing and he got prayed for. You know, something happened. Clearly he actually played football the next day. But in my head I'm like, well, she can heal a sprained ankle but can't save my son, you know? And like, so my faith had to change, because you spend years being preached at and being told, you know, asking you will receive and all this. Well, like, I asked, you know.
So how did you rationalise that then, and still
you can't.
A man of faith? Like, how do you have faith then if you feel like your prayers aren't being answered?
Because ultimately, just because it happened to me, this has been going on for years, right? Like, my son isn't the first one to die. So if I believed God was good back then, before it happened to me, I can't stop believing God's good just because I've encountered a personal tragedy, because I know the personal tragedies happen. You know, ultimately, I don't know. I look at it as it was interesting at that time. So we had some people came up to us, and Christians are always trying to be nice. You know, they're all good people. They believe some mad stuff, but they're good people. And we had people come to us, and they'd say, you know, everything happens for a reason. You don't want to hear it. You know, you really don't. And I remember a friend of mine, Stefan, he's called. He's a bit older. He's a bit of a father figure type guy, and he rang me. He's from South Africa. He rang me. At least it was like the day after. At least it was in the hospital, and he just went, Michael, and I was like, yep. And he went, just want you to know, God loves you, I love you. You're going to be okay. And I went, yep. He went, all right. And he put the phone down. That to me, that felt like. It felt like God was with me then. Do you know what I mean? But with me putting an arm like. You know, I'd say, if something happened to my kids, I laugh with them, I'd cry with them, I'd commiserate with them. If I can stop something, I will. But ultimately, something bad happening to my kids wouldn't stop me being their dad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So ultimately, I have to believe. I can't not believe in God, because I feel like being raised like that, I've seen too many examples of God. So I struggle to not believe in that.
So what's the biggest or strongest example of God that you've seen?
Oh, I mean, we've seen like I've seen like people get like healed and stuff.
So tell me about that then.
Well, like my dad, but even then, it's in the midst of tragedy, right? My dad had a car accident when I was 14. Like, he was in like a coma for like months. You know, he kind of severed all the nerves in his arm. He shattered all his face. He was like, we thought he was going to die. There were 6 people involved in this accident, 4 of them died.
Wow.
And like, you know, so even that, I remember being angry. That's probably about the time I stopped going to church when I was about 14. I remember sitting with my dad, like, and him saying to me, what do you want to happen? Expecting a big hand to come out of the sky and pick up the car? Do you know what I mean? It's like listen, car crashes happen, you know? But I struggle to say, well, God saved him, because he didn't save them other people, you know? But I can't argue with the fact, you know, these nerves that were severed in his arm, and he was told by the doctors, you know, they'd take about a year to they'd gradually grow back.
Yeah.
And he'd start to get feeling in his hands again, and they'd gradually grow back. And he, about a week later, he went back in for his assessment, and we've been praying in that week, and you know, he was sound. And the doctor brought people in and was like, you've never seen anything like this before. Now they'd say it's a medical anomaly. It happened. We see medical anomalies all the time. You know, we see these things that you can't explain them. I don't know. Now I would just say, well, all right, well, we prayed for that, and that's what happened. You know, he had when he had a scan, when he had his accident, he had a hole in his liver. And again, we had a leader, just people come in and prayed for him, and he got took in for surgery. And when they opened what, they couldn't find the hole, and they were like, there must be an error in the scan. Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. Now, but like I've seen loads of examples like that, like literally loads of those kind of examples. But I've seen more examples of it not than it happening. I've seen more people being prayed for and have nothing happen than I have seen people being prayed for and have stuff happen.
Well, does that not lead you to ask the question like, well, why did God heal my dad and
of course it is,
not like let the birth of our child?
Yeah. I ask that question all the time.
Yeah. I've got to admit though,
but ultimately, because I've seen that stuff that has happened, I can't not believe in God. So I've then got to decide. Well, for me, what we had to come to is well, who is he good? Is there just a way of tapping into? So I don't know. Like genuinely, like got no idea. But ultimately, I believe that God is good and that He loves me. I don't believe I've got some guardian angel protecting me from damage or harm, but I believe He's there. You know.
I believe bad stuff has to happen for us to appreciate the good. Yeah. Like I think that's the purpose of evil, isn't it? It gives us something to fight.
Who knows? Yeah.
I think.
I mean, that's things like it's like there's a famous poem where someone say, "Oh, I prayed for courage, and God gave me a situation to be brave in." You know, I prayed for, you know, resilience, and God gave me things to overcome. You know, I don't know. Like I said,
but that shit's true.
Yeah,
because there's guys I work with that want to be more courageous, want to be more resilient, but then when they're presented with opportunities to grow their resilience, which is hardship, that's the time where it's very appealing to back out.
Yeah. So you asked me earlier when that changed from being up and down and all that. I think that was probably 8 years ago, with the death of Solomon. There was going through something like that. I mean, I don't think it gets any worse than having to carry your son's coffin at a funeral. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that's about the worst thing I feel like that could happen. But going through that and still being all right, going through that and our marriage still being strong, and going through that and still having your kids, and ultimately it teaches you something, you know. So it makes me less sure about all the absolutes of Christianity. Of some people think it's so easy. I think most Christians just haven't encountered any personal tragedy. The ones that have seem to come out of it differently, you know. And some people come out and say, "Oh, I don't believe in God because if that happens to me," it's like ultimately it came down to me of, do I believe in God? Do I believe He's good? Yep. Okay. Well, I've then got to formulate all my theology around that, because I can't not believe that. So everything else kind of comes from that.
Well, this is interesting actually, because Chris said something to me the other day that I never thought of. He said, if you can live your biggest fears, which most of us have, like, you live a completely different life. So if you're saying that that's the worst thing that could happen, and you survived and you're okay, you can kind of live this liberated life where you know that you will handle whatever shit comes your way. I think a lot of the fear, and I can resonate with this, is like, I don't know how I'd react to heartbreak, to this, to all that. I don't know, because there's a part of me that thinks I'd crumble, and I wouldn't get back up. But like, you got back up.
Well, that's interesting. You know, we had a 2-year-old already at that time. Hard to mope when you've got to watch Frozen. You know, like that's the man in Elisa's marriage at that time wasn't. And me and Elisa have been through some time. We've been up and down. We've been on the verge of breaking up. We've always stuck together. That solidified us. Like, there was 3 days just me and her in a hotel room, going, because she still, obviously it happened. They still got to go through the labour. She's got to give birth to the child.
Wow, fuck.
You know, knowing it's not coming.
Yeah.
That 3 days in a hotel room, like, was tying us up.
Yeah, well, I didn't know any of this. I didn't know any of this. Yeah, I think it's so important for guys, especially like yourself, because, like, again, externally from the outside, you know, you're running this great business and things look awesome. Yeah. But it is nice and relatable to hear struggles. Yeah. Because it is easy to fall victim and think you're the only one that goes through shit. Yeah. And then you can even take that out on God if you want. And say, why me?
And you know what? I think God's big enough to handle that as well.
Sure.
You know, and I think that's the... It's going to be like Christianity podcast. That's like... And I think that's when it comes down to, like, how you... For me, it comes down to how I read the Bible. If you read the book of Job, there's a book of Job, the whole story is this man loses everything. and he fights and he argues with God, and I used to read that. There's a verse now where God says, "Oh, did you make the beasts in the sea? Did you do this? You let me handle that." And I always thought, oh, what a slap down of Job. Yeah, God's put him in his place. Now I look at Job, and Job's like, "You've took everything from me." And he ends with, "You did all that," and he's like, "But you're still God, and I still." And that's where now the book of Job is my favourite book in the Bible. You know, it's like it's a man who climbs to heights and loses, and ultimately has to come to a place of, I'm at peace. You know, and that's the
hero's journey was around even then. It was. I love a fuck up story.
Yeah, me too.
I really love a fuck up story. Like you're a big time player now with your business. We haven't even spoke about it yet. I just want to hear your fuck ups. If I was just ended,
I'll sit and talk about my fuck ups all day long.
Yeah, no, but they're more interesting.
My man will watch the podcast though, so I can't talk about too many of them.
No, that's cool. Should we throw in some success for the firm?
Whatever you want to talk about.
Well, look, you are a owner, an entrepreneur, right? You've created from scratch a multiple six-figure business.
Yeah.
You've done it with a 4-day week system, not only for you but for your staff, which is quite refreshing. Yeah. Yeah. How's that going? How did you get into it? Why do you enjoy it? And let's go from there.
Don't know. Yeah. So how I got into it, my first job was in telesales. Literally, when I was like,
what was it you were saying about salespeople?
Oh, they're assholes, all of us. Yeah, my first ever job was when I was young. I had quite a bit of a stutter at school.
Okay.
And like I couldn't even order Chinese on the phone. I couldn't get my words out. But yet when I picked up the phone to make a sales call, honestly, I was like Gareth Gates. I was amazing. And so I was about 17.
Oh, you mean Gareth Gates in the good way, like when he's rolling.
Yeah, when he sings. Yeah, he can't talk to save his life.
No, that's what I mean. I thought that's what you were saying. You were like that, but no.
Yeah. But I bust out some Flying Without Wings, and he's off away. Isn't he? So I was like a massive stutter, normal talking. But when I picked up the phone to make a sales call, I could just go and talk properly. It was.
So you're a natural born salesman then? Because I always think this is a myth. Like, I was just naturally good at it.
I think for me, the art of sales, you have a conversation with someone, and at the end of the conversation, you just so happen to take some payment off them. So I think I've always been good at having a conversation. It's actually funny enough, I'd say from our church background as well. I was always around adults. Yeah. So we went to a small church when I was a kid, so maybe 50 people. Yeah. So we'd always have adults over our house, and I was always, you'd be in those conversations. Do you know what I mean?
Because you're trying to say the concept of Jesus and God all the time.
No, not at all. Just I was invited by my parents. If they had their friends over for dinner, I'd be part of that. I'd be downstairs having a conversation with them. So I think if you can talk, you can do sales. I think it's literally just about having a conversation.
And that's so true of many. Like if you can have a good conversation and you can articulate yourself well, I think you're ahead in life.
I remember going over to my ex-girlfriend's house and sat. So I'd have been about. She was a bit younger than me. Like I was 18. She was 16. And sat with her parents, and they had some friends over, and her mum saying, "Do you two want to go play on the PlayStation?" And me just going, "What?" Do you know what I mean? No, I want to
sit and talk,
sit and have some wine and cheese. Yeah. But yeah, so I just found I could talk.
Now what would you do? PlayStation or sit and
anything to get away from her parents? To be honest with you, no, they were lovely. Yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, so I got into sales, selling kitchens was awful. And then I got a job doing sales for a marketing company. And I just kind of stayed in marketing all that time, really. And wherever I was always like the top salesperson there. So I was always making good money. Like I say, even in 2021, I was like, I was doing well. And ultimately, over time, over the next like however many years, that progressed. I then went to another company that my friend owned, and I kind of ran that company for them. And I was just looking at mistakes they were making and going, God, what I could do. I felt like they were hampering the progress of the company, which they were. And I think I like to always think about living with a certain amount of values and integrity, and they were making decisions that were, because I was the face of the company, really. So I was going out to all the meetings, and I was the person people associated with the company. But then they were like making the company go bust and then restarting under a different name. without telling anyone, and I was like, I found something out before, and I just walked home, and I was like, this will be 4 years ago, and I just rang Elisa. We just had our second kid. We just bought our dream house, and I just rang her and I was like, I'm leaving. This is what we're doing. And luckily, Elisa was like, cool, do it. So that day we registered the domain name, put things in place, and 6 weeks later, I was gone.
And it's a Breakout?
Yeah.
Okay, how long's Breakout existed?
Only 4 years.
Right, okay.
It was 4 years in June.
Yeah.
So I'll have been 34 at that time.
Yeah, I mean, I knew you before that, right? Like, you just started Breakout.
No, I've been out a year into Breakout, maybe,
Okay.
yeah.
It's grown rapidly.
Yeah, so it started just for me as kind of a freelancer. So the 4-day workweek really came about because I don't like doing work. I wanted to work as little as possible.
Yeah.
And I was always, I want to be done by results. So if I called someone and got a sale in, and I'd do that by 10 o'clock in the morning, I'd go home.
Yeah.
You know, but this is where it comes out like values and stuff. I've told the story before. I value freedom more than anything else. And the one thing, someone said to me before, what does success look like to you? And I said, getting a haircut on a Tuesday. Because forever, you know, when you get your haircut, you've been self-employed forever though, right?
Yeah, 21.
So many times I'd go to hairdressers on a Saturday morning, there's a massive queue and I'll go back at 3 o'clock. And if there's a massive queue till 3 o'clock, right, I'll have to wait till next week now. And your hair gets looking shit. And so on my first day of Breakout, I was late to work because I went to get my haircut. It was like I was making a point, like at 9 o'clock I'm going to be outside the hairdressers because I want to get my haircut when I should be working. Even working a 4-day work week, I won't get my haircut on a Wednesday without a day off. I'll get my haircut on a day that's a work day.
You're a fucking rebel. That's what you have noticed that in this podcast. Anything where like you have to, you were like, no, fuck you.
Yeah. I'm going to get my haircut on a Tuesday even though Wednesday's our day off because I want to feel like I'm doing it when I should be working. But then I'll go to work on my day off as well. But I'll go and it just all evens itself out. But yeah, so the 4-day work week came from that. And then kind of as the business grew, you know, we took on more work than we had hours. I had some freelancers working for me. And we were spending more on freelancers than we would on salary. So we thought we'd employ our first person. That was about 9 months in. And that was Megan. And Megan now kind of runs the business. And we've kind of grew from that to we've now got 16 people. So
you've ticked that list of success, right? Because you've kind of generating the life that you want from the business.
Yeah.
What? So if that's success, then what's freedom? Like, what's the real definition of freedom for you?
Oh, to me, I like. Have you heard Bob Dylan's quote?
Go on.
Is I get up in the morning, I go to bed at night, and in between, I do exactly what I want to do. That to me is success. If I can wake up,
but what's freedom?
That as well.
Okay.
The other day, I don't know, it was like 10 o'clock at work, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to go watch Thor. You know, I'm going to go to the cinema. But then a day later, I was at work till 8 o'clock.
Because you're not entirely free though, are you, right? You've got responsibilities, you've got kids, you've got a wife, you've got a dog, you've got all the things that you need to probably make you get out of bed, right?
Yeah.
So in one essence, it's like, well, some freedom's been taken from you and replaced with responsibility.
Yeah.
So,
but the responsibilities I have are ones that I like.
Yeah, and you want.
The responsibilities I don't like are the ones that I delegate.
Okay.
So I don't like having to be at work 9 to 5. As in most days I am at work 9 to 5, but I don't like having to be at work 9 to 5. So the management of the people, I have managers who will then do that for me.
Yeah.
You know, when all the pressure of doing sales was falling on me, we've then employed a salesperson to do that. So that gives me more freedom to do the things that I want to do. You know. Now, actually, to be honest with you, right now I need to take back some of that because this big lesson I'm learning at the minute is growth doesn't always equal better. So work at the minute is stressful, very stressful. It hasn't been stressful for a while, and all of a sudden the past few months has gotten quite stressful
because of expense.
Yeah, just expansion. You know, I was explaining this to someone the other day. When we did a £250,000 turnover, 4 members of staff, and we made £100,000 profit. In the past 12 months, we've done £600,000 turnover with 16 members of staff, and we've made £115,000 profit. So we've made an extra 15 grand. We made an extra 350 grand for an extra £15,000 of profit.
Yeah.
And then one day your accountant goes, you know this month you're going to lose money. How?
Yeah.
Is it? Well, you've got this and this and this. And I'm like,
Yeah. It's never a linear process, though, is it?
Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, and all of a sudden, then the pressure comes on.
Yeah.
And then it becomes, so I've built a business that had really no pressure on me because we've only ever hired when we've grew. We've only ever, and then it's like, but now we're now having Breakout Media has become like a bit of a machine, a bit of a beast that we need to feed. So before Breakout Media was kind of feeding my lifestyle, I guess, and now we need to feed that beast.
Okay.
Just to maintain the lifestyle I had 2 years ago.
So are we going to see the best of Mike Lewis or the worst of Mike Lewis now that this pressure is on?
God, who knows? Hopefully the best, I think. But maybe not.
Yeah. Well, you could decide, right?
Yeah.
You could pick.
Yeah. And that's the thing. So
because won't this challenge your concept of freedom now?
Yeah, a little bit.
And if that's the thing for you, right? It's like your
Well,
biggest value is being threatened.
Yeah. I mean, we're doing all right.
Oh no, you're doing great, right?
But yeah, it definitely puts some pressure on.
Sure.
Because at the minute I'm doing all the cool stuff that I like. So taking a day out to travel down here and do it because this is fun. This is talk to my mate, create some content. It's all good. But yeah, it'll be.
This ain't gonna put food on the table, though, right?
No, not yet.
No, sure.
Like, so for me, all the content we're doing, all the videos we're doing, all that is all going to pay off 18 months down the line. You know. So I was talking to somebody about this yesterday that it's a hit on it's a hit on my ego. They do a post on LinkedIn and it gets 10,000 views, and you do a 3-hour podcast on YouTube and it gets 52 views, and you're like, I put so much more effort into this than that.
Of course, yeah.
But a year down the line, someone will listen to that podcast and decide to use us. Do you know what I mean? And that's what. So now we're trying to really invest in content marketing, trying to invest in basically building our brand massively.
Yeah. And you've already said that conversation is an important skill for you.
Yeah.
I love conversation. This nourishes my soul. It nourishes my appetite for conversation.
Yeah.
And if I have to pay for that, then I will. I'm not expecting anything in return either.
Yeah.
But if something comes of it, I will take it.
Yeah.
But I have no ambition for it to do anything other than create good conversation.
Yeah.
Like you say, with a little bit of faith that you might be rewarded, but I don't think that is at the forefront of anything I'm doing. No. In fact, it costs me money to do these podcasts, of course. I'm renting a fucking studio. Then I'm paying Nicole to edit them. But I love it. It's like an education for me. I get to sit and talk. I get to sit and learn from you. So if I bought an online course, I'd pay for it and I wouldn't think twice. This is the same thing. I'm like, I get to have fun, hang out with cool people and learn. Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, no, I love it. Like, that's been the thing I've enjoyed most, is doing the podcast and speaking to people, and just it's amazing what you can pick up. I'm always looking for a little nugget. If I can take one nugget that I can go away and implement, you know, that to me is especially in business. Like in business, I try and find those things everywhere. Yeah.
See, I find them just in humanity, and just even speaking to you about your hardships. Like, that's the nugget for me. I'm like, everyone has them. Yeah, that's always the nugget for me. Yeah. Mike Lewis overcame this. Yeah. Mike Lewis will still have to overcome obstacles. Mike Lewis has still got demons that he can't win. Yeah. Mike Lewis is do you know what I mean? All of those things that make me just feel better, because I'm like, it's just a human trait. Like, we all suffer, we all do our best. Well, I think we all do our best. I'm not sure.
I think everyone's doing the best. I think everyone's doing the best.
Yeah, people will hear this and go, no, they're fucking not. Like, people are lazy and they sit there and they don't. But that still might be their best with what they've got, right? Yeah. Maybe. See, this is where my frustration does creep in. I think about this. So, where I used to live, I lived in quite a rough area. And this is fucking nice, by the way.
And
that's 2 glasses in. Cherry flavour.
I don't like cherry Pepsi Max.
I'll have that then.
Mental. There was a girl who lived opposite us. 21-year-old, well, 14 kids. Do you know what I mean? Like, when we've 3 kids. And she was constantly screaming and swearing at them. And you'd look at her and just judge her and be like, oh, God, you are the worst man in the world. So you'd hear, like, to like a 3-year-old kid, you're fucking like, I think, man, that's awful. And then we met a mum. And a mum came round her house, and a mum was screaming and shouting at her. And I looked at her and thinking, oh, God, you had no chance. Yeah. You literally had no chance. Now, funnily enough, when we lost the baby, it's an awkward thing that nobody knows what to say. So a lot of people don't say anything. Yeah. So I remember going back to her, you might get her, you alright? Yeah, I'm alright. but no one really. This girl who we thought was the bane of our lives because our kids would hear her swearing, came over and said, "Oh, what did you call him?" And I was like, "Oh, he was called Solomon." And she was like, "Oh, it's a lovely name that." She was like, "Oh, should we let off some like balloons or something?" And I was like, she was lovely.
Yeah.
She was, and no one else had asked, "Oh, what's his name?" You know, and it was like that was like a bit. But I find it high note. Like a friend of mine lost his daughter recently, and I haven't spoken about it. I literally went to the funeral, and about 3 weeks earlier, I'd recommended a book to him, and we're at the funeral, and everyone's hugging, and I was like, "Oh, did you read that book?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, it was really good." I couldn't ask him about it. And even though I know it hurt me when other people didn't ask, it actually, because it was like when someone asked, because someone was stillborn, so although he was 40 weeks, he was a fully grown baby, he was all this. Someone asked him validates his life a little bit, like, oh, it's not miscarriage, it's not the same thing. Do you know what I mean? It's there's a funeral, there's all these things, and it validated his but still to me, when a similar thing, it wasn't stillborn, this guy lost his about 2-year-old daughter, and I couldn't say anything other than the standard. You all right? Did you read that book? And we still talking about it now, you know. And it's like, I regret that massively. But too awkward now.
What would you have done differently going back? What would you have said?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think men find this more difficult than women.
I don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
What would you want to hear?
What I would want to hear, what my mate Stefan said to me, just so you know, we're here for you, we love you, we're with you.
Yeah, that's it, right?
That's all you need. That's
enough, isn't it?
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
I wish I'd said something more, you know, and like that's
I've been thinking a lot about regrets lately, just to put the spirits up on this podcast.
Yeah, from dead children.
Yeah. It's always things about like lack of kindness or being nasty that's regretful. Like I spunked 25 grand on a stupid truck, right?
I know. I told you. I feel really bad about that.
No,
I remember saying how you, because I was in your WhatsApps going, buy the truck.
I know.
And you were like, oh.
But I asked you because I knew you'd say go buy the truck.
Yeah, you said, oh, that's why I like talking to you. Because you'll tell me, fuck it, buy the truck. And then 3 weeks later, you're like, oh, I'm sold the truck.
Yeah, I know. But trust me, like when I get like deathbed regrets, do you think that's going to be there? Nah, is it fuck?
No, of course.
No, of course it won't.
Buy the car. Always buy the car, go on holiday.
Listen, it's fine. But the regrets will be, one, that lack of kindness, and two, not accepting who you are.
Yeah.
Not being comfortable in your own skin. That's my biggest regret in life.
Yeah.
Not being okay with who I am now.
Are you there now?
No, I'm a fuck, no.
Do you think you'll ever be? Or do you think, I should probably ask you this when you're on my podcast.
Yeah, well, we can.
But like, do you think, because you're so into the self-development, will you ever get to a point where you're like, you know what, this is what I mean when I talk about the difference between, I'm happy with how kind I am. I'm happy with who I am as a person. I'm not happy with actions I do.
Yeah.
But who I am, like, one of the things I love hearing you talk about is how proud you are of, you know, your relationship with your parents.
Now I am, but
meeting your dad climbing Snowdon and all that, cause seeing the.
But that came out of guilt and shame, you know.
Yeah.
I've got kinder 100% over the years. So much kinder. I'm such a better person, but the nasty part of me is still there.
Right.
It still comes out.
Yeah.
So I know that, and that's the regretful thing. I think when you know better, it hurts more as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because when you're in your 20s, you can get away with shit, and you're just like, look, I was young, I didn't fucking know what I was doing. When you're 37, those excuses don't wash anymore. No. You can't do it.
Yeah.
So you kind of see these ugly traits coming. You're like, fuck, they haven't gone. Why are they still there? So you have to look at them. So I started with a physical transformation, worked really hard on it, proud of it. Then I went to a mental transformation, which I'm good at. I can be tough. You know, I can grind things out. I can climb mountains. I can get in a boxing ring and fight if I have to. But then there's a spiritual and emotional, which is a whole new fucking battle, which makes those two other things seem like a piece of piss. Physical and mental. But when it's emotions, when jealousy or anger rises up and you have to see it out rather than just fuck it, because I just want to fight and attack.
Yeah, not me too.
Yeah. I'm a man, I've got it in me.
We were talking about this, we were having breakfast earlier and we were talking, I was saying, I can't handle being told what to do. I can't handle any element of it. You know, I have a rule that it's the worst rule ever. 2 people are allowed to shout at me, my wife and my dad. Other than if someone shouts at me, we're fighting. Do you know what I mean? Like people tell stories about the bosses. Oh, my boss shouted at me. Like, your boss shouted at you? Like, I remember one time my old boss shouted at me and me saying to him, who are you talking to? Like, I'm a grown man. Yeah. If you're not happy with my performance, tell me. Don't shout at me. I'm not your son. Like, I had to kind of like draw a line in, like, if this carries on, like, and he probably would have battered me, but like, yeah, I can't handle that. I'd like to be better, actually, at handling things like that. Because, yeah, my natural instinct is to rebel against that, is to, you know.
I think this is where all men, not all men, that's wrong, most men struggle to deal with emotional turmoil or emotions that come up and take over their body. Because I feel like a different person when I'm angry. Like, it's not me.
Yeah.
I think I'm quite a nice guy, but I could be a cunt.
Yeah. I know, yeah.
An angry one as well.
Yeah.
Especially in relationships, if my little heart's threatened, you know.
Right.
Because then it really hurts. Yeah. Whereas, like, if me and you had a falling out, I'd get over it. You know, you can do your blokey thing, you can swing your match. Because I wouldn't be heartbroken. I might be a bit annoyed, but I wouldn't, you know, whatever. But relationships are different. Yeah, you can have your heart stomped on, and it's like you said earlier, of like you survived the worst and you came through it. Like, I think because it's gone on for so long, I'm like, oh, if I fully commit to a relationship now, and then she fucks me over or something, I'm like, I was right all along. Do you know what I mean? You're like, will I ever recover from that? The kind of answer, like, you kind of get what you're fearing anyway. So if you're trying to protect yourself from being hurt,
trying to protect yourself from being lonely by being
lonely.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. That's what I mean. I'm trying to break it all down now. So that's the next part of my transformation. And I know that if I can not master it, but get a handle on it, my life will be so much better.
Yeah.
Because I have done enough to warrant being an okay human, I think.
So do you think that's your version of, I'm like, I know what I should be eating, but I don't want to. You're like, I know I should be find a woman, settle down.
No, it's not, I don't think that's the right approach.
I struggle too much, so I'm going to ignore it.
I don't know. Again, this is that contentment versus resignation thing. It's have I just resigned myself to the fact that I'm single and that's the way it's going to be forever? No, I don't like to think so. I just know I'm going to be tested. It's like sparring a relationship all the time, because your missus is going to test you. Especially, I'm quite a masculine guy, so I attract feminine women. Feminine women are fucking crazy. Like, they're full of energy, they're great, they're amazing. But what I love about them becomes the thing that fucking drives me mad. So I need to learn how to love someone's flaws and faults, because I've got loads.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But to love someone for their flaws is hard.
I think that's the thing is, me and Lisa were friends for a long time. Me and Lisa were only engaged about 6 months. Before we were together for like 6 months, we got engaged, and we got married a year later. And we didn't live together before we got married. I had housemates who they basically paid for the wedding with the rent. But we found that process of, I feel I know everything about Lisa. Like, no one in the world knows me better than what she knows me. And I don't know anyone better than, I don't think anyone knows her the way that I know her. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's why I'm a big fan of marriage. A lot of people are like, oh, well, just a piece of paper. Like, me and Lisa would have broke up so many times if we weren't married. And now some would say that's a bad, like, there'd be so many arguments that we've had that would be blow up arguments that I think if we were just living together or we weren't married, oh, fuck off, we're not doing this. But actually, because we'd made that commitment, we kind of got to a point about a year and a half in where, the point where every argument we were having, she'd take off a ring and throw it at me. And then one day I went, if that ring comes off again, it's not going back on. She hasn't took it off since. But we went like marriage counselling and all that kind of thing. And we had to come to a decision. Breaking up wasn't going to happen. So a non-negotiable was we were going to stay together. So once we made that decision, everything else just needed to be worked through. And it was that kind. It's like you might say, well, I'm going to train 3 times a week, regardless of how I feel. Regardless of this is what's happening. We kind of made the decision, regardless of what we're doing, what we're feeling, we're not breaking up. We're committed to each other. And once you'd made that commitment, everything, it didn't become easier, but it meant it forced you to talk everything through. It forced you to come together on things. And it's that there's an old song by some band called DC Talk. It's called Love Is a Verb. It was a band I used to listen to when I was a kid. It was like Christian band, it was cheesy as. But that was in my head. My dad taught me before, love is an act. Love isn't a feeling. It's a decision you make. Some days I don't feel like I love Elisa, but I clearly do because we're together. Do you know what I mean? And it's about we're together not in spite of how we feel, because we're very much in love. But how we feel that day isn't going to dictate our relationship. How we feel that month isn't going to dictate where we're together. Because the one thing I've learned is we've been together for 15 years, been married for 13. So everything's seasonal. We go through periods where, you go 3 months and you think, we haven't had sex in 3 months, like just shit going on. We go through periods where we're like, class. Do you know what I mean? Like everything just comes back around. But what we've made the decision of is we're going to be together until we die. So we better make this work. And then that sounds quite not unromantic, but we are romantic. But the point is, I guess, I remember a friend of mine, I won't say his name because his wife will be fuming, who said, all I know, he said, my wife makes me happy. And he said, the minute she doesn't make me happy, if you ever stop making me happy, we'll probably get divorced. I was like, man, are you mental? Like, love it's a choice. It's an act. Do you know what I mean? And you find this with your kids as well. People who are like, oh, the minute I saw my baby, I just fell. Actually, the minute I saw the baby, it looked like all the other babies. Do you know what I mean? They all look the same. What I found, my connection to my daughter came the minute I started changing the nappies. The minute I was doing something that she needed me for. Actually, the first time I held her, just like the same as the first time I held my nephews, or first time I held my mate's daughter, just sounds awful. It's just a baby. The class. But when you start changing nappies, when you start doing stuff, when you're literally keeping them alive, that's where like the massive amount of love I think comes in and connection. But look, some of my kids are dicks. Like especially the 5-year-old. You know what I mean? Like the mental. But yeah, for me, like that, I think every day being a parent and every day being a husband is you wake up with the choice to, I'm going to love this person, regardless of how they might be having a bad day. I'm going to love them anyway. They might talk to me like shit. I'm going to love them anyway. Tomorrow I'm having a bad day. I say something snappy. They're going to love me anyway. That's like the thing. Not that I can give like relationship advice, but that's what to us has kind of kept us together. I think like right now we feel stronger than what we've ever felt. I think.
But that's probably because you've been through things together, right?
Yeah,
like, that's how you
absolutely
bond.
Yeah.
I think that's like when I look at my mum and dad. They've been together like I think it's like nearly 50 years or something crazy.
My parents are the same.
So they've been through, and they had years and years of like financial struggle. Years.
Yeah.
And they did scrape by. So they'd miss mortgage payments so we could have Christmas presents. All that horrible stuff that like most couples probably wouldn't get through in modern day times.
Yeah.
But it's because of those that they're so happy now. They've bonded so tightly because of that struggle.
Yeah.
And I think if you don't go through that together, but there's the blueprint we were talking about for everything.
Yeah.
Like you have to struggle your way to success.
Yeah.
And you'll be more resilient and appreciate it more.
The choices you make each day, in wherever it is, in physical health, in habits, in relationships, it's about daily making that choice.
Yes.
I find that with in marriage more than anything, like daily making that choice. Oh, this is my person.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like,
when we spoke about freedom earlier, that's what real freedom is to me. For me to make the choices I really want to make.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about whether I get a haircut on a Tuesday. What I mean is if I'm with a girl and she can crawl in my skin and make me angry and snap, I haven't got freedom. Does that make sense?
do you not have the freedom to how you react to that?
Yeah, but that's the goal.
Yeah.
So I'm in control of how I behave. I'm in control of that's for me. That's freedom.
Yeah.
Because if I'm letting the world, social media, tabloids dictate my mood, piss me off, that's the opposite of fucking freedom.
My dad gave me an analogy before about freedom. He'll have been talking about some Jesus-y, I imagine, about rules or something. And he was talking about a football match. And he was, if you have a football match, one team has 20 players, the other team has 5 players. One team decides they can pick up the ball anytime they want and throw it in the goal. One team who has more freedom to play football? Them, or the team who have, you play for 90 minutes, you play 11 versus 11, you play these are the rules. Are the people playing by the rules of football more free to play football than the people who are trying to play football with 0 rules? And it was like, I think that's the mistake people make. Like, oh, I don't want any rules because that's freedom is having. But actually, you got more freedom to live in certain. You got more freedom to live a better life.
Yeah. Inside
of this.
Discipline and freedom live together. You know?
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
Well, it's Jocko, isn't it, who says that?
Is it?
Yeah, I'm sure that's his big quote, isn't it?
Oh, discipline equals freedom. Yeah.
And like, it doesn't make sense, like when you just hear it off the cuff, but it fucking does.
You're not free if you want to go climb a mountain and you're 25 stone.
Yeah,
you probably can't.
Yeah. And this is where I go back to the nutrition thing, which hurts a lot of people. But if you're not free, if you can't even control what's going in your garb, I'm like, that's the first place to start. Yeah. Get free there. Get control over your what Jeff would call your palate. Yeah, what you eat, what you drink, what you watch and listen to. I'm like, that's a great place to start.
Yeah.
Because if you can control that, you're pretty masterful. That's quite appealing to be a master of palate for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Because again, it forces you to be that guy with the habits that you want. There's no goal attached even.
Yeah.
It just forces you to be that guy. Do you want some more Coke? Right?
No, I might in water.
Fucking hell, this one's exhausted me, man. This podcast has exhausted me.
How long are we?
We've done an hour and a half, man. I'm tired. I'm like...
We've got another one to go. We've gone deep, haven't we?
We are.
I said we'd... On the way down, I think Alex is going to want to take this quite deep.
That was good, though, man. Mike Lewis. Oh, fucking hell. I can't let you go without asking. Sorry. Yeah, I'm a bit fucked. Final question, better man, traditional question. I know we started with the whole, like, what needs to happen for you to be a better man. What's next for Mike Lewis?
Oh, God knows. McDonald's, hopefully.
Don't let this guy go to McDonald's. Seriously. Don't let this guy go to McDonald's on the way back.
Who knows? Business-wise, my aim at the minute, we're trying to buy other businesses. We're trying to be a 7-figure business. We're trying to build a group of businesses at the minute. That's my goal over the next couple of years in terms of business. Personally, who knows? Let's say 90 kilos. Who knows?
You don't have these goals anymore. You have these habits, remember?
Yeah. I'm just trying to be as good as I can. Again, as good as dad, good as a husband, good as a boss, good as a whatever. You know. Don't know. Keep on going. Keep on keeping on, all that.
Keep on going on. Mike Lewis.
Thank you very much.
Mate, enjoy. That was a
pleasure.
Yeah. Whew. That was good.
Very good.
I'm fucked.
Yeah. I feel like I've been on Joe Rogan.
Fucking hell, yeah.